It's kind of a hodgepodge, but it's things that I think are really important to being effective in your run game. The same thing will happen to, I mean, it applies in your pass game as well, but run game is probably where I utilize these things the most. First thing, I'm going to show some game film on this. Run game, are you guys using rules up front? Are you guys using blocking rules? Do you guys use blocking rules per play? You do? So every play linemen have rules. Are you doing the same thing? Using general rules. Okay. Rules are your guidelines for what you need to do up front. You got to have them. For example, power. Everybody on my line has a rule on power. Play side guard, play side tackle. They know their rule is gap down backer. That's their rule. Real simple. We make it simple. They have the gap down inside of them. If there's a man in that gap, if there's nobody in that gap, they go to who? The linebacker. Gap down backer. My center knows he's got to fill for a pulling guard. He always fills for a pulling guard. Okay? And then my backside guard knows he always pulls for the play side linebacker or the Mike, depending on the look. All right? And that's a skip pull. My backside tackle knows he has B-gap hinge. Okay, so that's our rules up front. If I'm playing with the tight end, his rule's the same. Gap down, backer. Now, here's what's really important. The memorization of the rules are good, but there is an exception to every rule on the offensive line. All right, for example, this is where a lot of people fall short up front in their run game. Okay. So I'm going to run power to my tight end. On power, my linemen know we leave 2. 1, 2. We leave the widest down guy, and we leave the widest second level defender. All right, so we're gapping down. Boom. Gap down. Boom. They know by rule, I'm gap down to backer. If there's nobody immediately in my gap, I'm going to double to the next backer. All right, we do this for movement purposes. All right, boom, working back one. Center knows I fill for the pulling guard, which is here. He's going to skip pull, but here he should work for the play side backer. We have a call to identify that, and then we power hinge on the back side. Number 1 is taken out by my fullback. Power, pretty simple. Now check this out. This is why you have to cover these things with your line. You as a coach have to be able to do this. By rule, if we were just to go with our rules, this is tricky. Supposed to fill for a pulling guard. Well, I don't have an immediate guy in my gap. This guy's head up on my center. He's not really in my gap. Either way, if I double here and I gap down, who do we leave unblocked? The nose. If we get this right and we're here and here, he's hard to get to with all this trash right here. This is tough. It's tough to defend. If they're playing a bear defense, and he's man here, now I've really got a problem, don't I? So every play, you have to have exceptions to your rules, all right? And you have to have answers for things that people do to you. Defense that does this, they tend to key your guards. If he keys my guard, I got problems. Okay, we get a lot of guard keying. We get a lot of guard keying in a 30 defense. Being a power team, we get a ton of it. They sit right over our guards, they key us. Alright? So that can cause problems with this backside guy getting into the play. So, it is important that your linemen understand what they're trying to do, and your linemen can communicate with you what's going on. Alright? Here's a great example of why we need to have the communication. I'm going to go through some looks here. I'm just using power as an example because power is a play you can run into any defense at any time in a game. It's the best play in football. You don't have to have numbers because you're adding 2 to the play if you're going to block it, or you're going to add 1 and read 1. You take out, you eliminate 2 on the defense. Okay? What if I'm running power and they do this? Well, pre-snap, what if he's on the inside shoulder? My fullback's going to go to the widest. He's going to step down. This guy plays out. We're going to leave a guy unblocked right off the edge. Happens all the time. Okay? So it's important that you're able to communicate these things with your players. I'm going to show you some film on some of this. Do you guys ever get a double eagle defense?
Yes.
Double eagle is the hardest defense to block. It's the hardest defense to block. You cannot run. You have to know what does and doesn't work into stuff. You cannot run inside zone to a double eagle. Can't do it. Can't account for him. So now you're changing rules. He's supposed to work here. You see what I mean? You can't do it. There's too many guys in the box to run inside zone into a double eagle. All right? Too many moving parts to start to change all that. You're changing the play up front. Okay? So what I want to cover is the importance of you have to have rules. You have to have answers for things the defense does in your run game, and you have to have exceptions for the rules up front. A 30 front breaks our rules. Power. A 30 defense is an entirely different. Some of you probably call it a 50 defense. Both guards uncovered. 0 nose. Well, their rule's gap down the backer. His rule is to fill for a pulling guard. If I fill for a pulling guard, I gap down the backer. If he steps here and plays back, I've got nobody for him. Does that make sense? So this is a rule breaker. So my center on a 30 front, he does not fill for a pulling guard. On a 30 front on power, we double the nose to the backside backer. That's a rule breaker. We don't normally double the nose on power. All right? My play side tackle, he's supposed to block down, leave 2, right? Well, you don't know who you're going to leave, do you? Because he's head up. So we do what's called a pop step. If he crosses our face, we take him and wash him, and we leave 2. If he plays outside of us, we pop, he played away, I climb here, we leave those 2. It's different. What you get up front changes some schemes. Yes?
So if that guy is a reader, as you talked about before, you don't run power too much?
No, I still like it. All right? But there's some tricks to it. For example, if my fullback, say we're playing out of the eye, if my fullback's not doing his job, he's supposed to track to the inside heel of the tackle. Well, he should run right into that guy. But if he gets lazy and he tracks wide because he sees the end man on the line of scrimmage, my tackle will leave this cat, boom, I'm going to hit the backfield. Just a lot of moving parts, okay? So what's good? Put a tight end in there. All right? Now we should double him. But if he's penetrating, slanting, and penetrating, we're going to have some problems. Then you're going to get this. Well, I've got to make sure I take care of that. Then you get backside run through if my center doesn't come off on it. Backside run through kills an A-gap play. I'm going to show you some clips of this stuff and how we adjust.
How are you going to handle backside?
Good question. You mean back here?
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm cutting him loose.
So you're just hoping
If we can't get the play off because of him, I'm going to run power naked. If he's doing that, I'm booting out. Which naked power we call it dragging, all right? We'll run a drag here, all right? We run a deep post, and then we're gonna run a comeback out here. That's one of our best pass plays because we run so much power. Now I'm gonna cover all these clips, all right, and show you how this works. So you see how power looks great, but there's exceptions to rules based on what the defense does. So you've got to know how to adjust those.
Coach Clark,
Yes,
do you meet with your offensive line much? How do you get all?
constantly. This spring, my offensive line and I met every Tuesday and Thursday, and we work on technique and exceptions to rules. We have a class segment that I do with my linemen, and that's what we call it. Exceptions. And that's kind of what I'm covering right now. There are exceptions that I make them memorize. Here's the number one. You guys ran into this yesterday. There was an exception to the rule yesterday, and I thought about, debating about, having a conversation with Carl. I was going to talk to you about it, but I didn't because I thought I'm going to blow his mind. Like, it's going to be way too much. So yesterday, they gave us a 41 defense, didn't they? Here's what they were normally doing. This was Tirsa. This is their base look. That's their base defense. But because you guys went spread, and you do so much shit outside, which is good. I'm not used to playing spread all the time. It was good. It's good to see. They widened him. They widened him. Right? That's what you got. Well, I'm sitting there going, shit, inside zone all day. Here's what they did that screwed you guys up. Watch this. They moved him to a 2 and put him in a 2. So now all of a sudden your guards are going, Coach, do I buck and surge him like we talked about? Do I take him? Do I go ahead and zone to that backer? How many guys are in the box to block?
5.
5. How many linemen do we have?
5.
Should be really easy. But this screws up linemen, especially as fast as you guys freaking gonna line up. I couldn't do that. That's really hard on your linemen, you know. Trying to make adjustments on the fly like that is a bitch. Well, here's what they were doing. You saw it. You ran inside zone. Great call. Here's the problem. He's zoning like he's supposed to. This is your contained player. So what was that end able to do? He was killing you guys, number 77 off the backside edge. He was the reason inside zone would not work. If you go back and watch film, he's the reason it would not work in the first half. So we made an adjustment, didn't we? We said, here's the deal. We told the tackles. We made a lock call. This is an exception. This is a game time adjustment. If you can't make these, you lose games. We said, here's the deal, tackle. He's got nobody to work to, does he?
No.
The minute the backside tackle sees that the backer he normally works to walks out, he's going to make a lock call. Then, here's what happened. We drove him, we worked here, we worked here, we worked here, we got pushed, and Teddy nailed that off that backside cutback about 3 times. And it was popping, wasn't it? All because of this adjustment to this, and being able to have that conversation, see it, and fix it at halftime. I knew if you guys adjusted this, you were down 14-13 and a half. I said they'll run inside zone for 3 touchdowns in the second half if they adjust that. All right, and you did. What leads to that? First off, you have to identify what you're getting. Why is the play not working? Because against a 41 box, inside zone should go. Who's making the play is the first thing I look at. Who's making the play? Well, it was the backside end. Why? Why is the backside end making the play? How do I fix that? Well, I can fix it by running nakeds, which is not something you're doing in your offense. That's not an answer for you guys. Okay? I could zone read him. Well, if I zone read him, who's there to make the play? He was. So that's not my answer either. You guys have built-in hots and stuff, and that's good. That's a potential answer for you guys. But I'm Coach Brewer's learning this about me. I'm going to run the ball anyway. Okay? You're not going to stop me from running the football. So I'm either going to bring a tight end in here to help. bring a fullback or an H-back in here, wham him, kick him out, or I'm going to make a lock call and not change anything else up front. But you see how all those things fix that problem? But if you don't see the problem, and you have to know what's the problem, how does my offense fix it? You can't just draw up a new everything in the dirt. What do I do that can fix that? Okay, that's what happened to you guys yesterday. All right, I want to show you some things that we've run into. Now, this is what's important. One, you have to meet with your linemen. I'm going to tell you the first things first, and this is what I wanted to do yesterday, but you guys don't know this. You need to know this. Everybody in this room that plays offense ought to be doing this. Daniel with Bulls, you need to do this now. This is vital. Okay. Inside of the guards is a 2-eye. Do you guys call that a 2-eye?
Yep.
Outside is a 3 technique. Head up is a 2. We treat a 2 as a 3 up front and a 2-eye as a nose. If you do that, it changes the way you handle that stuff and you'll be fine. If they line up in double 2s, we treat it as double what? 3s. The minute we walk up and my guard's got a 2 technique, he looks at tackle and he goes, 3. He's a 3. If he's slightly inside of him, he looks at him and says, he's a nose. Because he says that, my center knows what he is and my tackle knows what he is. Because it doesn't matter what he really is, what truly matters.
What'd you call it?
That we all are treating him as the same thing. If my center's treating him as a nose, my tackle's treating him as a 3, and my guard is treating him as a 2, it changes rules. That's a problem. We would double a 3. We would block down on the nose. So if we're running power here, right at him, if we treat that as a 3, on the play side, we're going to double it. But if I treat him as a nose, he's going to leave him. What if I see him as a 3 and I go to double him and I'm going to give up penetration and we end up leaving him unblocked? Happened twice in the first half. We left the guy completely unblocked because they didn't know what to treat him as. We always treat a 2 as a 3 because that 2 is always a threat to play outside. Now, is he a threat to play inside? Sure, but if you're going to play double 2s against me, you're probably going to line him up in a 2-eye if you really want to bring him inside. And there's not many 2-eyes that are going to play out to a 3 technique. Okay? Now, occasionally they'll get you. But that's the general rule of thumb. Now, teams that play double 2s tend to play 1 to a 3 and tend to play 1 to a shade. That's what they tend to do. But you'll win more often than not if you play by this rule up front. Okay, so here's a great example. You guys that are half man, half slide teams. This screws people up. If I treat him, man side, slide side, man side. Well, I'm locked up here, all right? What if I slide and leave him? Because I think, hey, tackle's got him, tackle thinks you've got him, we've got a problem. You guys did that yesterday. We left him one time. If I treat him as a 3, we're on the same page, okay? Here's another issue you run with it. Run into double 3s really screws the centers up. Double 3s. Well, if I'm half man, half slide, where's the center go? Say my right side's my man side. You guys would be man here, correct? Mm-hmm. Man here.
Yep.
Good.
Go left.
All right.
No Steve.
Okay, so he should slide left regardless. All right. If you get double 3s, here's what I teach my center. Who are my defensive guys in the room? You're a defensive guy, right? Do you ever play with double 3s?
Yeah.
Why? What are you doing when you do double 3s?
I just doesn't want the center to just do it.
Yeah, you're trying to confuse your center. So you tend to play games or blitz off of it, right? Most teams will cross blitz, play games with it. So when we get double 3s, my center knows his rule is now changed when he gets double 3s anytime in pass protection. It's an exception to his rule. Here's what he does. In pass pro, he's not just going to slide left. He's not just going to slide left because, sure, I've got a back to protect here. But wouldn't you rather have a big guy block up front than a back? I mean, every time if you can. I always want to get my big on your guys if I can leave a back free. Always. So here's what I'm going to do. His rule in double threes is he is popping straight back. He is set straight back to the heels of the guards. He's got to get on the same level as the guards. The minute he snaps, he is back and his head is on a swivel. He is scanning. And the first A-gap penetration, he's going to commit to it right now. Right now. So if we're running stunts, he's going to get back. The first guy that comes in, that's who my center's going to pick up, because stunts screw up your man's side a lot. If he's good and he picks him and he doesn't see this, he may have to play back to that man's side, or I'm going to have a back on an end crashing inside. So my center pops back, eyes, find the most dangerous side, help right now. It's an exception. It makes a huge difference in a game when you start getting movement up front, start getting blitzers up front. All right, so the 2 becomes a 3, the 2-eye becomes a nose, my center on double threes. So if I get double 2s and we're running our half man, half slide, what's my center going to do in double 2s?
Back.
He's going to pop straight back and he's scanning. All right, always, because those things are trying to mess him up.
Does your running back read the center then?
The running back is, I never change his read.
Because if
Our
he's
running back on the man's side is A to B to C. We check inside out. Are you guys the same way? Okay, so he's going to stay in there. He's going to check A. If there's nothing, he's going to scan B to C. But what can happen is, this is good. Let's talk about this, Dan. This will help you a lot. I'm trying to think of this shit that we were talking about this earlier. You want it out of 1 back or 2 back?
one
1
back.
back.
Both.
Do you guys get a lot of double threes?
Only 1 game this year.
Okay, that's good. You're gonna have the exception for it. If I get double threes, I'm stacking my backers and I'm playing games with them. Okay. Now, say I get this cross blitz. Well, that's a bitch. All right, that's tough. My back, I should be man here. I should be man here. If I just slide here right away, all right, if my back checks A to B to C, am I going to see number 2 come late through the A gap? No, that's a problem. So our back knows. His rule's not changed, but he knows something's going on up front. How does he know something's going on? What tipped him off? What was his exception that's going on up front? Double threes. Double threes, we make an alert call up front. The minute we come up and we see double threes, our center goes, double threes, alert, alert, and that's echoed back to the back. So the back knows, I'm probably not going to do anything different, but I've got to be smart because there's some BS going on up front. All right, so I'm going to get back. The first guy that commits to the A gap, I would jump it. My back knows he's got to sit in here slow. As long as he doesn't check out, we're still good there. Makes sense?
Same call for double 2s?
Double 2s, we treat the same way. Yep. The key is the call has to be what across the front? Communicated. If my center sees double threes and he's popping back and scanning sides, but my back doesn't get the communication, we might have a problem. And I have it written down right here. When you have exceptions to rules, you have answers, but your answers don't matter if they're not communicated up front. Talking is everything up front. The faster you play, the less you can talk. Now, you have answers for that, though. You don't have to worry about this stuff as much because you have hot reads built in. I don't do hot reads. I only have my quarterbacks 1 or 2 practices. You start getting into hots with us, we got a lot of little moving parts. My guys play both ways. I don't have time to do it. All right? So that makes a big difference. Does this make sense to everybody? All right? It's a little wrinkle that is an exception. I'm going to pull up some clips here and show you some exceptions we've gotten into. Now, I'll be honest, some of it works and some of it doesn't. Some of it works on paper and not in a game because your kids can't make an adjustment. I'm going to give you a great example of, I'm going to pull up the film here. I'm trying to remember some games that we had some major exceptions that I'm going to pull up. We pull our guards a lot. I put my more athletic linemen at guard. My bigger guys slower at tackle. my more athletic guy guards, I like to pull my guards, okay? To me, my guards to me are fullbacks that aren't good enough to be ball carriers, but they're physical up front, and so that's the same type of player to me, all right? Let's look at, I wrote down some games, I had some exceptions coming up. Okay, Wayne County 2012, Jesus, we're going back, Ben. Here it is. Watch this game all the time. This is a big game in the history of our program, honestly. This is a really good football team. We were just getting to the point where we were kind of becoming this is our second year. We started to play better. We got into a dogfight with them. That was year 2, wasn't it, Ben? We're winning to overtime?
Yes.
Okay. We lost by 1 point in overtime, but it was good stuff. All right, now notice how at the top here, I've got all these power plates. Where's that remote?
Just behind you, Peter.
Do you see how none of these say the clip is good at first? But then down here the clip is good and it says TD. We made some adjustments. Early on they had a real good feel for our power play. All right, here we go. Weak side power. We've got a problem. Or this one might be unbalanced here. See that linebacker?
It's fast.
He's fast. He was damn good. See how they're coming up underneath my fullback?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to the end zone.
So,
Yeah, that's what happens when you have an All-American running back. All right, so we're in unbalanced. I went tackle over. These are 2 tackles. All right, look at the numbers. Is this the place I want to go? Just football math. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd count him. It's 4 on it, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to block 4. I'm going left with this. That's why we went unbalanced. They put a good player in a 7 technique. I can't get off on that double team because they told this guy, eat up both of them. Eat them up. So my guard can't get around very well. He gets a piece of it. We find a crease. Now, I love it when people blitz like this, and I'll show you why here in a minute. All right, here we go again. That's the safety down in the box. Coach Brewer's going, why the hell are you throwing the ball here if that's the safety? They put a guy deep, played over the top. They brought the corner off the edge. Some different stuff here. All right, I'm unbalanced again. They brought the safety down. They went to the motion side. Now we made an adjustment. I noticed earlier we didn't get off on the double team. So they came off the field and I said, what happened on the power? And up in the box they said, hey, you know, this cat, we knew he was pretty good coming in the game. They said 44 made the play. So I asked my 2 tackles, what happened? Clayton says, this guy grabbed me. He wouldn't let me off to it. So guess what the adjustment was? Don't touch him. Don't double him. Leave him. That's pretty good. Now the problem's the running back. Where's he supposed to go? A gap. So the problem's the running back and then the down block. We stood up and got hit in the mouth by that linebacker who was pretty physical. Guard's a little slow because he can't get around it all.
You get a long bend, though. I mean, there's no push.
Game continues on. We're still going to run our power. It's the same look. Do you notice our split at tackle? So here's what we did. This guy was pissing me off. He's making a lot of plays. This block is getting in the way, so I said, get the hell out of there. We're trying to hit power in what gap? A gap. We should hit it down the hash. So I'm trying to widen this gap and get these guys out of the way. What happens here? What's the backside in do? Or the backside 3 technique start to do? Is he penetrating still? No, he turned into a reader all of a sudden. Shit, I got a problem. He's reading. A gap would be wide open right there. See it? See how I widened this guy, got him to bite on the fullback a little bit? If he's not there, we're right down the pipe, aren't we? And now we got a problem. We got to make an adjustment to that. We got to communicate that. We got to get it fixed. Come back in the game. What the hell are we doing here?
He's bouncing out.
Yeah, that's just a bad play. We're gonna go to the next one. Good. All right. So here's what I decided to do. Go to the next clip. You'll see this is a pretty good play right here. We weren't getting to this down safety earlier. He made the play, didn't he? So I said, we've got to get to him. So I widened my guard's track and said, you're pulling, we're going to... So here's the adjustment we made on the sideline in this game. And remember, guys, this is in the third quarter. This was a halftime adjustment. We are going to count him as a linebacker in the run game now. If we count him, we leave 1, 2. We were leaving 1, 2, 3. Does that make sense? This was an adjustment. We're going to take him now. He's a wash. He's a receiver that's going to take him. I don't worry about him.
There's arc block.
Yep.
Yeah, the pulling guard.
Pretty good job.
Pulling guard picks him up. We're going to outrun that deep guy.
Yeah, so you consider him the play side linebacker.
That's exactly right. We treated him now as the play side backer. So here's what I did. I said, now, this is my actual tight end. I stopped going tackle over because this guy wasn't doing shit for me when I went tackle over. My tight end's a good pin blocker. So I said, listen, we're going to work to him fast now. You get there right away. Barnes, don't worry. We can handle that guy with our tight end. So look, boom, right there, right now.
Yeah.
We're going to go to him right now. He still played over the top. See the 3 technique play over the top of us?
Yeah.
But I told our back, this was a game time adjustment.
That's just how we would play against the play side.
Yeah. I told him, I said, you're not going A gap now. We're going to hit it a gap wider because we're accounting for a safety. And so my running back, who normally is A to B to C, I told him you're B to C to D now. He still takes the handoff the same way. Downhill, now look at him. He's following his fullback. He's following his guard. There it is. And
Fullback's a tough guy.
fullback was pretty good. This is the 5th quarter. This is in overtime. Watch the mic. See how the mic starts to run now?
Uh-huh.
So there's what we did. I told my center, we noticed this 3 technique was getting lazy. See how tired he is? So I told my center, you've got to get that block. See that mic running? He wasn't doing that earlier in the game. He started to drift. We started to get him to bite. I stopped motioning him, just put him in the eye. Counter-stepped him to slow him down. I said, we're going back to A gap. Their Mike's chasing now. Mike's chasing. You have to check A to B to C. And watch this. This is pretty good stuff. Everything is blocked right.
Yeah, 3 over 2.
A gap. This is an adjustment.
So you actually
See,
had your
normally
bar-
by rule, guys,
Pull over.
normally by rule we would double here. That's a 2, which is a what? They've gone to double 2s now. See that?
Freeze.
So we should treat him as a 3, and he should block down to that.
Yeah.
But we've made an adjustment, and I've told him, guys, my tight end can handle him by himself. You get to 44 right now. I don't want to leave him unblocked. We're still pulling. Look at this. We're still pulling around for the safety.
Yeah.
And he finds A gap because he's reading the mic. I told him to keep your eyes on that mic backer. He saw him flow. He gets vertical right now. All right, now, that's all of minor adjustments as a game goes on, isn't it? Without having those conversations with your linemen about what are you getting, what's happening, and deciding what makes the play bad or good, you can't do those things.
So how many of your players played both ways?
Linemen, we have about 3 that play both ways. Our fullback is usually our starting Mike linebacker-ish. Our running backs are our DBs. We have a lot of guys. Right now, we probably have, 8 guys playing both ways, Coach Colbert?
Wow.
They'll start.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you now that it doesn't always work this way. Sometimes we don't find exceptions until after we watch the film. We don't find the answers until we watch the film.
What's number 1? Pretty cool.
This was this year.
This is Placid.
This is Tate's Creek. Watch this. We didn't expect this. This kid right here was a hell of a lot better than we realized when we got into the game. He now has an offer from Air Force and about 7 Division I schools. I think they offered him off of our film. We have these little, how big's Peyton Skidmore? 5'6", 150 pounds, but runs a 4.5. Fast, good player, he's District Player of the Year. We're asking him to block a kid that, what's that kid, 6'3", 205, 6'4"? Long. So we run this out, we've got this edge run game with our speed. They took their best athlete, who had been primarily like a backer type in here, and put him on the edge and widened him. And they told him, don't let anybody outside of you. And he did not. See him playing wide? He just widens. That's all he did the whole game. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a bad coach because we did not have an answer for him. So we were doing everything we could to get him out of the play. Yeah. I realized right away we're going to struggle with this cat right there. So we tried doing all kinds of stuff. As the game went on, it got worse and worse. Just couldn't really do a whole lot with him. All right, now, this is the next play after this. Sometimes you do some good things. I knew when I lined up, I'd run this formation for 3 plays. We knew right away when I line up here, they're going to put this cat on the edge. He's going to scream hard this way, and there's not a lot of help backside. They were flowing pretty hard. So we're watching all that to decide what to call next. So we run a counter off of it. Look at him come off the edge here. See how he's widening? So we're trying to play games with him a little bit. And as the game went on, he gave us problems. But that's a great example of you've got to have answers. As this game went on, I didn't have an answer for getting outside and dealing with him. We had to go away from him or throw the ball. And that wasn't what I wanted to do and what I planned on doing coming into the game. They got me out of what I was doing a little bit. All right, I want to show you one more thing. We play teams that key guards all the time. You guys saw us run power earlier. Here's another thing. If you guys are getting guards covered up, if you're getting a double eagle, you've got to do this. Power's great to a double eagle. You see all those damn D linemen? They've got 4 down. They've got 3 weak. Can I run the ball weak here? No. They've got everybody else lined up way the hell outside. All right, so if I'm smart, I'm going to do what Coach Brewer would do, and probably what? Throw the football. But here's the problem. Hard to throw against a team when they have 4, 5, 6, and this guy's uncovered, not part of the run. They're bringing 7 every play. We couldn't protect it either. All right, so I had to make some adjustments. Well, if I pull my guard, this cat's going to make the play. Here's what they did. And I hate these guys. They're a rival. And we beat the shit out of them since we figured out what they were doing. Because they didn't have an answer for our answer.
Sorry.
It's pretty good stuff, though. It's just something that we started doing that gave people problems. And we still do it. Here's a normal double eagle. Pretty much what they're in. Well, I could still be good here if I do this, 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 wrap around looking for him to flow. I'm still good, right? Well, here's a problem. Watch this. These dirty sumbitches, they put him in this gap. Who are they protecting now? I can't get to the 3 technique on the weak side. So here I am, I'm like double eagle. Shit, double eagle, we run power. Double eagle, we run power. Here, here, here. This guy's pulling, killing us. And I can't figure out why. That little adjustment of sliding the nose to the weak side shade threw us way off. Can't run ISO because I've got 2 backers in a gap. I've got problems here. So we had to figure out what's an answer to this, because our run game going into this is power. We've run power all week. I can't just like scrap the run game. So I'm sitting there talking to my guys, trying to figure out what's going on. Finally the sitter says, Coach, I'm not getting to the 3 technique. I can't get to him. Well, why? You got a guy head up? He's not head up. He's cheated weak. Okay? So here's what we did. And I've never done this before, but this, and you're going to see the first clip here. It's not great, but boy, did it give him problems as we went on.
Pull the tackle.
Yes. Boom. Boom. We doubled back, pulled the tackle. Hell yeah, we did. And that gave them a lot of issues, because they're sitting there going, what the hell? So now we have power for us is Philly. Philadelphia Eagles is power. Chicago Bears, Chicago is power. We pull the tackle instead. This is an adjustment that we put in that we have every game now. Look at this. There's a lot of bodies in there. A lot of bodies in there too. I mean, look at all these cats. And then they crawl to try to cut us. And it works, because my damn left tackle takes an hour to get off the ball. That's really good coaching, isn't it? Look at that. It's not like we're on the goal line or anything.
Oh, Wildcat?
I mean, how the hell are we leaving a guy? It's amazing. Tackle pulls.
Tackle is missing a treatment.
Well, everybody's missing everybody here. This is the first time, this is a game time adjustment we're trying to figure out. I mean, here's what this is though. My right guard. He believes the tackle's going to block down the 3, doesn't he? This tackle's dog shit. Zach Howard, he was just, he didn't know what he was doing, man. But if we get a good double team there, we have a huge play right there, don't we?
Who are left guys?
Sneaky, sneaky.
Who?
You have the left tackle from left guard.
They should double him to him. If he shows to the heels, we should abort the double team and go right now. My tackle should pull for this cat right here. No, they're not doing it.
Oops.
These are 2 years ago clips of this stuff. It's the same deal.
You have more place in the backfield.
It's the same kid. This is the same kid. Yeah, a bit lost. Double eagle, isn't it? Double eagle, you see it?
Yeah.
All he's got to do is block down
Yeah.
and look at the play.
Boy.
Boy.
We're gone if he blocked down.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
We eventually get it. Not yet. We might get it right here.
It's the other side, so we're not at the same time. You get it.
Ah.
Oh, wow. So much is that.
Trying to see if there's an end zone on this shot. There's not. But it started to turn into a better play for us eventually.
It's a long. This is a long pull though. Do you howl the trap
Yeah,
pull?
but that's why I put him in the gun.
You had the trap pull. So you kind of
No.
rip through it.
No, we were still skip pulling, but see how he jumps
Like
over?
2 steps for it?
There it is. Here we go. Now we're blocking it right. See how left tackle finally blocked down?
Yeah, that's making a difference.
They can't read the guard. We finally get the blocks right on our down blocks. Look at the hole.
Tackles me, or is it, yes.
We were very good up. We were very good up front this year.
Very good job. That's a good player.
Then we started doing the same thing, and we would read it. So now this is the same thing.
Who were you reading?
We're reading the end man. One's running clear upfield. Same thing, we're going to read it. See how guy widens, he pulls it.
If you'd pushed more, they need that.
We weren't very good this year. This is the year we went 6-5. That we should have been pretty good, but we had a lot of ego issues on the team. I mean, you see my right tight end block down and just leave the linebacker.
Yeah.
I mean, where are we going? I mean, we're just leaving guys. We weren't very well coached this year. Same thing. I never filtered these, obviously. Here we go. We get the down block. You see how the tackle gets a little depth here?
Yep.
Starting to get better at it, you know. And we stopped doing that under center. You know, the play evolved.
Yeah.
We learned that it's a play that needs to be run out of the gun.
Yeah. And you have like, you get like, the 3 technique goes outside? Oh, what's he doing?
So it's just an example of adjusting the play.
So coach, how many times would you run this during a game until you said, all right, this isn't working, we're gonna go with something else?
Oh, I run the shit out of stuff. I mean, because here's what happens. If you have athletes, eventually you're gonna get this. I mean, it is what it is. It just depends, honestly, it just depends. We won't live in it if it's not good, but it depends on what the issue is, you know? I mean, right here, look at all the penetration we're giving up. You know what I mean? I mean, if I'm getting beat like this, if this is happening to us, I don't know what I'm gonna run. I'm gonna have to trap the guy. I'm gonna have to run trap or some sort of option. This is why we run so much option. We run a lot of option because I don't have, all right, this is actually, it's the same play. This is the kid I have at quarterback
Is that
now.
how you want your running back aiming point on
No,
power read?
it's terrible.
Alright, yeah.
Now, these are both freshmen playing varsity right
didn't
here,
wanna
so I got
say,
tired.
so-
It's the same year. I got tired of the effort of the kids we had in there. My seniors were lazy. Freshmen. They're like 14 years old playing varsity football right now. They're scared to death. All right? But look at what happens. They're trying to make plays.
They are. Wow.
So it's just an example of making adjustments to stuff. Okay? So keys to come away from some of these things. Keys to come away.
I think 2 equals 3 and 2i equals no.
2 is a 3, a 2i is a no.
That's just-
You need to put that in your offense no matter what your offense is.
So smart.
Okay? And then, the other thing, if you can get out of it, is this. Going into a game, know what the defense does, and if you study how they're gonna play your run plays and your protections, it gives you a much better feel for what the problem identified may be. Find out the number of the guy that's making the play with you guys this weekend was 77.
Yeah.
Why? I work backwards from there. 77's making the play. What's going on here? How's he getting there? Well, he's able to crash. How's he able to crash? Well, the backer walked out. So the next play I'm looking for, why is he crashing? So just decipher from working back on who's the unblocked guy to figure out what your answer is going to be. All right? Some of the best answers are, I believe this, guys who you can't block, don't block them. Read them or trap them. If I'm playing a D lineman that we can't block, I'm either going to read him by running midline or a veer or something, or I'm going to trap the hell out of him. Leave him unblocked and ear hold him. Why try to put a square peg through a round hole? All right, and I believe that's important when you have mismatches up front. And we're a little small, so we tend to run into them. So you might have any questions about any of this? Okay.
I have some questions.
Yeah,
Who in your staff do you have assigned to watching what, so you get the information you need?
okay, we've been not good at this. Here's why. I know what I wanna see in the run game, and nobody on my staff understands the run game the same way I do, okay? When I coached in college, all the years I was in college, I was in the box during the game. So I could sit there and say, all right, the weak side linebacker's making the play, how do we get to him? Or they're giving me a 2-eye and I can make adjustments fast. Now, the year that we were struggling, I went up to the box as the head coach and I was in the box for 3/4 of the year. But I didn't like the dynamic on the sideline then, because if the head coach isn't on the sideline, there's a little different attitude, I think. And that team had a lot to do with that, so I came back down. I should get that information. I don't always get it, I'll be honest. I have a guy that used to play for me now that I've hired as my line coach, Clayton Barnes. He's outstanding. He's number 50 on the film that was rolling people the other day. And what Clayton does a great job of, and a rule has changed in Kentucky, we are allowed to use technology on the sideline. Staffs don't do it. We stand there with an iPad. Clayton stands there and he films every play. And if him and I'll have him watch backside or I'll watch the point. While the play's being broke from the huddle, we're looking up there and I'm having the defense up in the box. I'll ask them specific questions. Hey, do I have a 3 technique on the play side right now? Do I have a shade on the play side right now? Are they in double threes? Is it a double eagle if I think I'm seeing something? And then I'll say, Clayton, watch the point of attack. I'm going to watch backside. And we have, between the two of us, we watch halves of the line, and then we can piece together who made the play and why. And Clayton's been huge for me to do that. If you don't have 2 line guys, it's very difficult to see what's going on in the box. All right, now I'll tell you something else that we've done that I think has made a big difference. I try to get us in the right play all the time. All right, doing that, I'll call something like mirror right, midline, or veer, mirror. So we're coming up to the line right now. Our guys know we're running midline or we're running veer. Well, if we get a 3 technique, I'm running midline. If their adjustment to the midline is they put him in a 2-eye, well, that's a great angle for a down block, I'm going to run veer. We do that with so much of our run game. All right? A play we ran a lot, and I haven't run a lot of this since then. Hog right, power, or G. I don't know if you run a G scheme, but what screws up power a lot, when we block down, is squeezing hard in. So check this out. G, I'm blocking down. Now I'm going to pull and I'm going to log him. So now we're outside of it. So it gives us a chance to really read, is he tight? And I'll let the tackle make the call. He'll make a call to the quarterback and he says, hey, he's tight. He's head up on me. All right, so he's going to squeeze. We're going to log him, get outside him. We're going to run G instead of power. If he's wide, we're going to run power. When I was at Auburn, we did this. It was called down. We had a play called down, stretch, wide. Down, stretch, wide. Down, stretch, wide, right. That's 3 run plays called in one. Down, stretch, wide, right. We had some good running backs at Auburn, I'm not going to lie. So if you have a good running back and you can get him in the right play to find the right crease. Down was if we had a 7 technique. He was down. He was down. We were going to kick the next widest. It was G. Stretch was if he was in an 8. I'm sorry, I told you wrong. If he was in a 9, we ran down. We kicked him. Make sense?
Yeah.
If he was in an 8, we ran stretch and we reached it because we could get him hooked with the tackle and everybody. If he was in a 7, we would run wide and we would toss it and get him out on the perimeter, the tackle on the perimeter. Down, stretch, wide. 7, 8, or 9 on the edge. That's all we did. That's all we did. We ran that stuff constantly. And they would call it up at the line. Just all based on what's lined up on the tight end. It's hard to reach a 9 technique, isn't it? It's tough, isn't it? You know, don't reach him. Kick him out. Alright? So, I like building plays into plays. I think it really helps. We've started doing this with run pass checks too. One high versus two high safeties. Two high safeties, we're gonna run the ball. One high, we'll go all verts. 10 dive, check all verts. 10 dive if they're too high, which is blocked like inside zone. They go one high, we're gonna check to all verts. Alright, so we do some of that stuff. Good, any other question? Do you have a question?
No, it was about the trap on the end, where you just think we can't block them, so let's do something.
Well, if he's squeezing down, I can turn him in pretty good with a guard. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're running a lot of option right now. Becoming an option team. Here's something I just put in the other day. It's basically G option. So we'll have an answer going into a game. So we're reading him constantly right now. Well, if they're smart, when we block down, what should he do? Squeeze and blow up the play. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna log him, and we're gonna get out and run double option off of the next guy out. Does that make sense? And the fullback, instead of being a dive guy now, will just come out here, like he'll be on the same track, and then he'll belly and he'll seal the inside. So if you wanna squeeze your end, or you wanna play, if you wanna squeeze your end hard, take away my fullback, I'll just pin you in and come around you and run speed option off the perimeter. It's an answer for it. We'll go in with option. If we see him squeezing, we'll go to G. We'll go to G option. Still running option. Just taking away the give. Rather than just sitting there giving it to our fullback or dealing with this guy blowing up the mesh the entire time. Just a little wrinkle that we won't run this a ton, but we'll have it and we'll practice it for if we get that situation. Once we get it, we'll kill somebody on it and then nobody will do it anymore. So, just gives you a little wrinkle. Good question. Any other questions? No other questions? All right, good stuff.